Thank you, Bruce. That was beautiful. I love the ending there. So good morning, everyone, again, and welcome to Treasure Coast Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Today's September 13th, 2020, and I'm Deb Harris. I think you know that, and I'm glad to be with you today. We're happy, especially happy to have one of our favorite guest ministers with us today, Dr. Jown Brown. Dr. Jown is a ministerial affiliate at the Vero Beach UU, where he's a member of a covenant group called Pathfinders. He was a facilitator there of 2 ethics groups and a group on death and life. He's been an ordained United Methodist minister for over 50 years. He was appointed as a pastoral psychotherapist and has been in practice for over 25 years. He was also a teaching fellow at the Westchester Institute for Training in Psychotherapy and Psychoanalysis, as well as an adjunct professor at Fairfield University. He and his wife Maggie have 4 children, 8 grandchildren, and 9 great-grandchildren. So a busy man, and we're glad he could take time to be with us today. Thank you also for the people helping with this service. Bruce Ruby, our music director, our Zoom host, Ken Texeira. We couldn't do it without Ken, and our backups, co-host Karina Poloni, and worship associate backup Judy Clow. So we're gonna mute everyone to avoid any noise in the background. And please remain muted for now. We are a welcoming congregation. We welcome people of all gender identities, races, ages, and backgrounds. We're glad that you're here with us today, or perhaps seeing us on YouTube in the recorded version later on. We hold our Zoom services every Sunday at 11. In the Friday newsletter, which comes out online, there's a link to get into the service. While you're there, please notice there's also a link for giving. We appreciate any offering that you might be able to give. I'm now going to light our stand-in for our chalice. Our chalice lighting words today are from Melanie Davis, A Spark of Hope. If ever there were a time for a candle in the darkness, this would be it. using a spark of hope, kindle the flame of love, ignite the light of peace, and feed the flame of justice. On these days, many of us are spending a lot of time alone or almost alone. Our Sunday service gives us a chance to come together, albeit at a distance, to be in community, to reflect on our UU principles, and to encourage us to look forward to better days ahead. In the spirit of being all together, I thought today we could recite the opening words together. I'd like us to read responsively. I'm going to do the words in blue and we'll read those in green together. So in just a moment, Ken will have on the screen our words and we'll begin. And Then by Judy Chicago. And then all that has divided us will merge. And then, together, compassion will be wedded to power. And then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind. And then both men and women will be gentle. And then both women and men will be strong. And then no person will be subject to another's will. And then all will be rich and free and varied. And then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many. And then all will share equally in the earth's abundance. And then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old. And then all will nourish the young. And then all will cherish life's creatures. And then all will live in harmony with each other and the earth. And then everywhere will be called Eden again. And now let us sing our first hymn, number 275, Joyful is the Dark. And we're going to do verses 1 through 3. Thank you. And now let us recite our affirmation, speaking the first verse and singing the second. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Now, Karina Poloni, our religious education director, will read us a story for all ages.
Hi. It's nice to be back, especially online after moving over the past week into a new place. And I'm looking forward to getting caught up and back to work. So the story I want to share with you today is a story of my own. Now, some of you may remember that I adopted a baby squirrel earlier this year, and some of you have met virtually the notorious Bean Bean. Now, he's a wild beast, not a domesticated animal, and he's a terrible roommate. But I did harbor some concerns that he wouldn't really be released into the wild successfully. But here's a spoiler: the story has a happy ending. As we moved into our new home, the screened-in porch became the squirrel's domain. But it only took him about a week to utterly free himself by tearing through the old worn-out screen and into the yard. I wasn't ready, but like there was more I wanted to do to prepare him for being out on his own. But you know, sometimes things happen on their own rhythm. So I came home and I found him on the other side of the screen. And when I approached him, he ran up and he got on my shoulder and I walked around. We explored the yard together. And then he took off into the trees and we watched him sort of tumble around in the trees, just really exploring and having the time of his life. So that was beautiful. But then he disappeared for the remainder of the day, and I was really worried for him. I pretty much cried like all day and all night while we were moving our furniture, and went to sleep pretty worried that night. And the next day he returned. He looked fine, and he seemed so excited, like jubilant. Like if he could talk, he would have told me about like all of his adventures, like in the trees and meeting the other squirrels. So there's a lot of squirrels around here. It's like a squirrel paradise. And to be honest, I'm a little embarrassed about how big a role that played in my search for a new home. But on the other hand, I value what those little animals value. I want a peaceful place that's like kind of tucked away with, tucked away from heavy traffic, mature trees growing in the yard. And that's what I looked for. And I see rabbits and raccoons every day and a ton of different birds, and it's really lovely here. So being the squirrel, he slept off campus for a few nights. But now he has returned every day, and he's taken to sleeping on the porch despite having complete freedom. He's decided to remain close, and I visit him frequently and give him a little treat or a little hug. And this could change over time, especially when mating season approaches. He is his own squirrel, but for now it's just about perfect. So the reason I decided to share this personal story with you today, instead of finding a book to read together, is this perfect ending, which, like all good endings, is really the beginning to another tale, a story yet unknown. In fiction, we can choose the endings to our stories. They can be whatever we want. Reality doesn't afford us that same flexibility. And our present reality seems to be a fulfillment of the well-known curse, may you live in interesting times. So it's hard to dispute that current events have been particularly interesting. It also gets harder and harder, I think, to anticipate a satisfactory resolution, to retain some hope for a happy ending to any crisis, while it seems like we are a culture drowning in its social ills. As a community, though, we've talked about hope. We've talked about what we do to get through our most challenging moments in this interesting time. We know how to look to the small things, find causes for gratitude, stay connected the best we can, to be present and aware, and to listen. So I offer you this small story. It is just a small story, as an example of one with a happy ending in a landscape of narratives that might seem bleak. It's just a small story, but it might send the message. It's okay to hope for better times ahead, maybe even good times, maybe even a satisfactory resolution to a lot of our current problems. If we can keep our hearts open to this potential, we will recognize opportunities, roles that we can play to usher in a happier, more peaceful time. So thank you for listening to that. I'm going to, who doesn't like pictures of cute animals? So I'm going to share just a couple. Here's one of my friend Bean Bean right here. That's at our old house. There's him. He's munching. That's his favorite thing to do. And here is Bean Bean after he has returned. He is a fully wild squirrel in this picture, enjoying the yard to its fullest. And here he is, just on the porch, which is really his present domain now. So here's to happy endings to even little stories. Thank you.
That was such a wonderful story. I'm so glad for you and for Bean Bean. At this time, we'll share our joys and sorrows. What we'll do is I'll move a stone from our symbolic river, from our community pot to the symbolic river. Please put your Zoom page into gallery mode so that you can see everyone. And raise your hand if you'd like to share a brief joy or sorrow, and we'll all be in thought with you. Ken will unmute you so you can speak. Okay, well, for those of you whose joys or sorrows are too private to share, I will move a stone for you and know that our hearts are with you.
Good morning. It's nice to be with you. I'm sorry we're not together physically, but we are together as a community of faith, celebration, and as a community of hope, which I appreciate so much in our time for all ages. I'd like to share a meditation with you about the miracle of humor. I believe so very strongly that it's important to see life from various perspectives, especially with all that is going on in our world today. And to me, one of the most helpful perspectives is to see that there is humor in the midst of miracles and that there are miracles in life. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "All our life is a miracle. There is not a minute in the 24 hours that is not filled with miracles." And it was Albert Einstein, a theoretical physicist who's familiar with us, who suggested we have a choice about how we actually live. There are only two ways to live your life, he said. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. I believe that there are everyday miracles in life. For example, a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly, a comet leaving its mark on the dark sky, or an infant smiling for the first time, or as I had the privilege of being in the room when our grandchild was born and hearing its first sound of life. Well, may all be seen as miraculous. And there's no doubt that how we look at life plays really a major role in seeing miracles. Poet Anne Exton wrote, "There is joy in all, in the hair I brush each morning, in the cannon towel newly washed that I rub my body with each morning, in the chapel of eggs I cook each day. How fortunate it is that we can see the world through countless lenses." Humor. Humor is an important vehicle to look at the world from a different viewpoint. It can help us to take a breather from all the tensions and fears and anxieties within our life. Humor can help us take a step back in our current circumstance and perhaps proceed in a more creative or effective way. Abraham Lincoln knew the importance of humor in his life, as he said, "With a fearful strain that is on me day and night, if I did not laugh, I should die." Laughter. Laughter is so important, for it gives us the ability to step back from our own strains in life, which in turn helps our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. I remember a cartoon of Snoopy with Woodstock on a roller coaster with a caption, "Always find a reason to laugh. It may not add years to your life, but will surely add life to your years." Perhaps we need to look at this perspective to help us along our physical and spiritual journey. But let me be clear, in no way am I minimizing the tragedies in this world of the coronavirus, racial injustice, and riots. It is through these tragedies which our search for justice, equality, faith, and love are stretched at times beyond our limits. Humor is helpful in that it gives us a moment to see the ever unfolding miracles around us, so that we can find balance in life and, above all, cope with the difficult times in living one day at a time. May we pause now from all the hustle and bustle of our lives and all the thoughts and feelings within our mind, and let us now be quiet for a period of silence.
Well, it's important to look ahead to better days. It's also important to focus on the here and now. Dr. Jown will be sharing more about this powerful way that we can make these difficult days happier through the healing power of laughter.
Thank you. In the midst of all that is happening in our personal and national lives, I believe it is important to step away from the stress and the strain so as to diminish its impact, or even better, to resolve those consequences. As a result of coronavirus and the disease it caused, COVID-19, millions of Americans aren't just worried about their health, but also about their livelihoods and their futures. At the same time, warnings about excessive stress itself is injurious to our health and might even make us more susceptible, actually, to the illness. This is true for all of us who are working for peace and harmony and toward racial justice. Therefore, the healing power of laughter is really extremely important for our emotional health as well as the mental well-being for all persons on this planet. The expression of laughter is beneficial to acknowledge in this day and time. Various knowledgeable people have spoken of this emotion. The author of Proverbs once said, "A merry heart does good like a medicine, but a broken spirit dries the bones." Viktor Frankl, who was an Austrian neurologist and psychiatrist, as well as a Holocaust survivor of 4 concentration camps and author of a famous book entitled Man's Search for Meaning, once said that humor, more than anything else in the human makeup, can afford all aloofness and ability to rise above any situation, if only for a few seconds. And then Kurt Vonnegut, a famous American author, who was also a prisoner of war, once said, laughter and tears are both responses to frustration and exhaustion. I prefer myself to be very aware to laugh, since there is less cleaning up to do afterwards. And then the famous American spiritual teacher and author Ram Dass and Meravi Bush, co-founder of the Center for Contemplative Mind and Society, said these words: "Laughter is healing." We all know that. It's very difficult to laugh and be angry at the same time. Laughter gives present reality a break. Taking a break from the powerful anxieties and stresses in our time is certainly vital. Hopefully in those moments of separation, we can recharge our life batteries, and above all, look at life from a different perspective. I'm reminded of the cartoon with Snoopy, who is Charlie Brown's pet dog. And this cartoon, the beagle was smiling with hearts pounding outward from his chest, barking these inspirational words. When you can't control what is happening around you, challenge yourself to control the way in which you respond. That is where your true power lies. Very hopeful words. I can appreciate his words because feeling powerless in this world is disturbing, especially if you are stressed and feeling anxious. Health, which is facilitated through laughter, is my first point. Laughter relaxes and empowers the whole body. A good, hearty laughter relieves physical tension and stress, leaving our muscles relaxed up to 45 minutes after. Laughter plays a powerful role in our immune system in that it boosts the important aspect of our health. Laughter decreases stress hormones and increases immune cells and infection-fighting antibodies, thus improving our resistance to disease. I believe that we all want a strong immune system, which empowers us to be safe. Laughter is a powerful healing force that triggers the release of endorphins, the body's natural feel-good chemicals. A little boy was kneeling beside his bed with his mother and grandmother and softly giving these words: "Oh, dear God, please bless mommy and daddy and above all the family, and please give me a good night's sleep." And suddenly he looked up and shouted, "And don't forget to give me a bicycle for my birthday." Well, there is no need to shout like that, said his mother. God isn't deaf. No, said the little boy, but grandmother is. Well, my hunch is that some endorphins were just released after the young boy calmed down. Endorphins promote an overall sense of well-being and can even temporarily relieve pain. Laughter also protects the heart. Laughter improves the function of blood vessels, increases blood flow, which can help protect us against a heart attack and other cardiovascular problems. Laughter also burns calories. Okay, it's no replacement for dieting or going to the gym, but one study found that laughing for 10 to 15 minutes a day can burn approximately 15 calories, which could be enough to lose 3 or 4 pounds over the course of a year. And to me, at my age and my weight, I'm thankful there's a camera focusing upward. I appreciate certainly losing 3 or 4 pounds. Laughter is a powerful reaction that lightens in a healthy way anger's heavy load. Nothing diffuses anger and conflict rather faster than a shared laugh. Looking at the funny side can put problems into perspective and enable you to move on from confrontations without holding on to bitterness or resentment. Remorse or guilt from angry confrontations is wearing, and again, it does not boost the immune system. Laughter can be helpful in that it can help us to live longer. A study in Norway found that people with a strong sense of humor outlived those who didn't laugh as much. The difference was notably notable for those battling cancer. Laughter and our spiritual life are connected, which is my second point. When we examine the healing power of laughter, it is also helpful to connect emotions related laughter, I believe, through our spiritual life. It's been said that joy, humor, and laughter should be a part of everyone's spiritual life, and I agree with that. They are the gifts from the universe, or if you're comfortable with this concept, God gives us gifts to cope with our lives. Connecting faith and laughter really is the best medicine for the soul. And the word soul in Hebrew is habesh, and habesh means mind, body, and spirit. And when these three are interwoven with laughter, there is no doubt change occurs when we share our humor with other people. It often, in fact, deepens a relationship, or as Unitarians, it certainly can deepen the quality of our community. A question was once asked: how many UUs does it take to change a light bulb? And there are many answers to this question. Here are a few. Not very many because, well, we accept the light bulb the way it is, or there is no fixed number, but the committee must have a quorum. And then you probably have heard this one. Why don't UUs sing very well? Answer: because they're always reading ahead to see if they agree with a text. Well, I hope your religion is one that involves the expression of laughter. Sometimes we can be too serious about religion, as if laughter has no place in our life of the spiritual. There is no doubt that we need to take our religion seriously, which needs to include joy, frivolity, and the turning up of these muscles. Look at these important aspects of religion. Jesus taught that the purpose of life was not to become rich and famous, but was to love our neighbors, to help the least, the lost, and left behind. By helping those most in need, we reduce the amount of suffering in the world. And Jesus was one who expressed appreciation and joy, certainly, through laughter. The Buddha believed our purpose was also to reduce the amount of suffering in the world, and he outlined a path to live a life that would minimize one's suffering. Hinduism teaches that through good works, good karma is created for yourself as well as for others. And then there is a famous Jewish proverb which says, what soap is to the body, laughter is to the habesh, or to the soul. Unitarian Universalists, 7 principles collectively affirm that our actions should work to end suffering, especially that which is caused by injustice. All major religions really do, when we stop and examine them, offer a moral God to making people's lives happier and more joyful. In fact, Teresa of Avila, a Spanish nun, said, "She who laughs lasts." She used to look for novices who knew how to laugh, eat, and sleep. She believed that if you ate heartily, they were healthy. If they slept well, they were more likely free really of serious sin. And if they laughed, they had the necessary disposition to survive a difficult life. Religion has serious work to be done to make this world a better place. And all of us, each and every one of us, are called to be a part of that work. And because it is hard and sometimes depressing at times, we need to stop. We need to be able to laugh. Laughter takes the sting out of any situation, even death. To laugh in the face of evil dispowers evil and gives us strength to overcome it. So although there is much in the world that causes suffering, especially during this pandemic, one simple thing we can do is to offer people a moment of joy, a time to laugh. In closing, laughter empowers us to go forth in life with a different perspective. Our mind and body are impacted by the expression of happiness. And I trust your moments of laughter will strengthen you now and in the challenges of life yet to come. So use the gift of laughter, for it is truly good medicine. And as the poet Langston Hughes writes, like a summer rain, humor may suddenly cleanse and cool the earth, the air, and you. May laughter give you courage and strength during this time in your life. And may meaning and hope, as mentioned earlier in the service, and patience also be an outgrowth of your laughter, even in the most difficult times. A smile, an episode of laughter really can be a vehicle for healing, which can go a long way toward helping others and yourself feel a little bit better. Amen. May we now sing together hymn number 100, I've Got Peace Like a River. And may we do all the verses.
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain, tears, rivers. I've got tears like the mountain. I've got tears like the mountains in my soul. I've got tears like raindrops. I've got tears like raindrops. I've got tears like raindrops in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul.
And now may all beings be granted with the strength, determination, and wisdom to extinguish anger and reject violence as a way. May all of our suffering cease, and may we seek, find it, and fully realize the love, the humor, and compassion that already lives within us, and follow these qualities to inspire, re-energize, and permeate our every action. May we exercise the precious gift of choice and the power to change as that which makes us uniquely human and is the only true path to liberation. May we swiftly reach complete, effortless freedom so that our fearless, unhindered action may be a benefit to all we meet this day and in countless days to come. Amen.
We're going to have our postlude, and then please stay with us after the postlude for our coffee hour time. Perhaps we could share some funny stories or some jokes or some favorite authors that give us some moments of laughter. I remember as a young person sitting on my parents' bed and reading aloud to them from Dave Barry and Irma Bombeck. So maybe we can share some of our favorites in the coffee hour after the service. We'll now extinguish the chalice.
The postlude this morning is a song that I find humor in. My mother sang it, and she could always make me laugh when she sang this song. It's in the arrangement's in a form of a fuguetta, a little small fugue. And I'm hoping that some of you will recognize it, and you get extra points during the coffee hour if you can sing the words to it.